Dr.
Sure. So, studying vernacular architecture here, you will find that there are many traditional techniques, right? And using the materials that you have on site, so clay, stone, in Asir also wood. So somehow, challenge for architects is to understand how I'm gonna work with this. Can I just build a traditional house over there, or can I bring a new touch, a new point of view to this? So this was our challenge, and somehow we found that it is not a matter of technique, it's a matter also of sensitivity, how you feel a certain language of architecture, right? So in the specific case, we try to reinterpret the materiality of the building with what are the latest technology in terms, for example, 3D printing. So we can use wasted material from potteries, okay, so clay, terracotta. We could mix with concrete base, okay, 3D printing materials, and we can build facades which are sustainable, which are rooted, which are somehow speaking the language of the past, even though the form is not necessarily what it was before. This is strictly about materiality. Or we can use, for instance, the waste of vegetable elements, like we can print, we can spray a leathery material on roofs, but that is done with vegetable waste of resin. So you can imagine what you can do with dates, would be just the same. So this opens the horizon to a lot of application, and somehow doesn't let you lose the memory of what it was before. We are now working again with the design studio in Nasir province to try to implement in the most traditional place, the most rooted place. We're trying to implement this technology for what is going to be the future of the building there, the future of construction there. And it's very beautiful how really the heritage, the memory can become something looking forward and something new.
Thanks, Giovanni. I think that dovetails perfectly with your perspective, Fuad. So we're talking about traditional techniques and preserving cultural memory, and within that, the unspoken thing is really coherence across time that we're trying to carry forward into our projects. So from somebody who's practicing specifically in the heritage realm, do you want to talk a little bit about that through your work?
Yes, it's really important. First, what we do is to understand the building that we are working with. So to understand the values, the significance of the building, in order to see what we can do, what we cannot, what we are not allowed to do. So that's how we start. And then once we want to do any project, we start by following the traditional techniques to implement the same techniques that was there, trying to restore the building as it was based on historical data, doing all the documentation needed in order to proceed with the right approach of restoration. And then, according to the significance of the site, we know how much we go further in order to activate the site. So, because in the Saudi law, for example, we have category A, B, and C that give us the significance of the heritage. So, if it's A, we are not allowed to do anything. If it's B, for example, less constraints, and with C, we are allowed to do some internal modification, for example. So that's what we do. We study all of this before we do the project. And then, if, for example, we are doing a development project in heritage context, we do the whatever design should be completely coherent with the heritage itself in order not to disturb the authenticity of the place, the value. For example, people are coming to visit the cultural space. They should not be completely ruined by a new architecture that it's not respecting the traditional architecture. So that's basically the challenge. What we do whenever we are working with a heritage place, the culture and the innovation should meet in a very. It should know how to coexist together.
Great, thanks, Fuad. Noah, can you peel back the curtain of NEOM for us and give us some specifics about really what are you working on and applying some of these principles?
Well, I work in the field of sport. So essentially what I'm looking at is cultural overlays of what can happen in event days, for example, how the culture is in regards to active lifestyle, mental health, well-being, and what spatially I can do to bring that together. Because essentially if you design for women, families, children, special needs, if you get that umbrella taken care of, then you are designing for everyone. Married to that is the fact that we have pillars of Vision 2030 that we have to provide for. So a thriving society, a vibrant society, a thriving economy. What does that look like in real life when it comes to activity, for example, and the scale? So you have your parks, your micro parks, your outdoor paths, and the connectivity that has, and then you have your work environment or how you get to work. Married to that again is the social aspect. What happens when you return to home? How are you going to be active when you're inside the house? That brings us to housing, which, if I'm going to peel back a little bit more, other than the work that I do in NEOM, I'm also part of a PIF-funded study where I'm looking at starting this startup or a think tank where we actually look at design solutions for modern day problems. So one of them, for example, or challenges I'd like to say, is housing. How we look at housing today, especially as a cultural identity, is different. Our social structures are not the same. How we host, how we live, our lifestyle is not the same. So we really have to peel back that further in order to really support this transformation that's happening in the country through these giga projects, but also giving back to Riyadh, the cities, all of that's happening with architecture and planning.
Wow, that's great. I didn't know that. Actually, housing is my forte, housing and urbanism. So, understanding the role of housing in the structure of successful urban neighborhoods. And then we can have a conversation later. But this brings me perfectly over to you, Haytham. Fill up the glass of water. As the one of the leading design architects, tell us about some of. You were talking earlier about the speed, the scale, how the demographics are changing. It's important to be designing for place. So implicit in both of this dialogue is sort of the role of behavior and culture and housing. So tell us a little bit more about how you're actually practicing these ideas.
Yeah, maybe I can start from Noah's point about the housing. We have been working in different parts of Kingdom and also in the UAE national projects, and I guess it became very clear for us also as a design developer that the users change. The mentality and the culture and how you leave your house. The idea even of family continues to evolve and to change. So with all the entities that we work with, we had a common agreement almost that allowing maximum flexibility for the houses would be the only solution. So I remember a couple of projects, and instead of having one single staircase in a house, it was still something acceptable to allow the house maybe later